Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Mike Ames Recruitment Show, where, as you can see, we're going to be talking about streaming live on LinkedIn, which, as I'm sure you can guess, is something we are big fans of here at the Mars Show. Isn't that right, Mike?
Well, we certainly are, on the basis that we are, in fact, live streaming as we speak. So
Probably makes a difference.
that would be it, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah,
Okay. Let me just bring my microphone in there, which is a good tip for live streaming. Have a microphone.
Make sure people can hear you. Yes, it does make a difference. Okay, Mike. So we're going to talk about a couple of things today, but just to get the ball rolling, can we talk about why live streaming is so important as a business owner?
Yeah, because we're addicted to it, and it gives us a real burst of adrenaline every Thursday lunchtime.
There's mostly that.
Other than that, there are other reasons. So the first reason, I think the biggest one, is it really promotes your personal profile and your personal brand. Because, if they see stuff that you've written that goes out, I mean, that's a little bit of you, your personality, your writing style. But this is like almost as good as being in the same room as us, really. I mean, imagine that. So, but, you get to see someone's personality, you get to know them a little bit, really. And it's the weirdest thing, because you meet people, or I meet people, I'm sure it's happened to you as well, Kirsty, where you sort of say, well, oh, hello, you recognize the name. Oh, yeah, the name. And they start speaking to you as if they know you, because they kind of do, really. And it is really good for that. I mean, I have to say it's very cool. The second reason is, and I think this is something that the main reason we did this in the first place is to add value. But it adds value forever. Let me just show you this. Right, this was a LinkedIn message I had this week from somebody who is a prospect, and he just pointed out he watched a show that we broadcast. When do you think that was, with Carl Fronsbury?
I mean, that was last year, wasn't it? I think
it was over 6 months ago, for sure.
I think so.
So, and this is part of the conversion process now. I'm going to come to that in a second, but essentially, once it's up there, people can find it, particularly on the YouTube channel, which you're going to have to put your live shows on. Then people can find it and access it themselves, or you can send it to them, which is one of the reasons I use it for a lot. Add value by chatting to someone. So, I've got a video on that. In fact, I did it this morning with a private client. He was interested in something. I said, oh, I've done a show on that. Did you watch it? It's like, no, I didn't really. No matter, I'll send it to you. Get the URL, whack it across in an email. So it's a really cool series of assets, really, that you can add value with. And then the last thing, which is my absolute favorite, it helps lift sales, because it attracts people, and also because it creates interactions. And
that one's the big one.
Yeah, it is for me. All relationships are built on interactions, right? It's just part of how relationships work, business or personal. And in our personal lives, we interact all the time with our friends and family, of course. But in business, sometimes it's kind of hard to interact. But the show creates interactions because people sign up for it and comment on it in one thing or another. But also, you can then send it to people or discuss it with people, and it creates that interaction that you're looking for to build those relationships. And we always say we never sell to anybody, people buy off us. And I think a really big aspect of that is the show, I have to say.
I think because we add so much value, and we're really specific on the Mars Show. We will rarely, some people I've seen promote after the end of every single one, whereas we're like give away as much as we humanly possibly can of people within our knowledge, people we get guests on to give more of that knowledge that we don't have, so that our network gets a lot. And so it means that people are really attracted to you as people because they think, this person's going to treat me well.
And hopefully we do.
Yes,
I hope so. Okay, so there are benefits. There are other benefits as well, actually, of live streaming, all sorts of things. But I think those are the three ones, and they're really big ones for me. So, Kirsty, I'm kind of supposed to be doing the interviewing, aren't I? I'm going to sneeze for any minute.
Well, while you're doing that, I've just got a comment. So Pete's made a great comment, which is people buy from people. So LinkedIn Live lets prospects see who you are. And I think that's really powerful. It's a very personable thing. It's like a podcast, but you get my body language, my face, my smile, Big Mike sneezing. It's a different vibe. And also, Kate's made a great point. So it's great for her business because relationship interaction based.
If you're, I mean, Kate's a really good recruitment trainer if anyone's interested. But if you're a trainer or a consultant or you're in professional services, you're basically selling knowledge, and then on that knowledge you build relationships. A show like this, absolutely perfect. 100%, really. It's the single most powerful marketing thing that we do. And it costs us an hour. I mean, we're going to talk about how we set the show up in a minute, aren't we? But it costs us an hour a week, if that. So, it's no big deal. Okay, so I'm doing the interviewing. So, I mean, look, I've got my glasses on because I don't wear glasses.
Excellent.
Right.
Going well.
What is live streaming, Kirsty?
Essentially, live streaming is a live video that you post to one or many locations, social media. So, for example, right now we are posting to LinkedIn, which is where most people watch us. We also post to YouTube because YouTube is then a sort of library of all of our content. It keeps it there, which is where, when Mike was referencing that he sends people to it, he sends them to the YouTube one where we have a playlist, because then they can see all of our content. And the amount of people who will go and watch 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of our videos in one go.
Oh, yeah.
Is huge.
Yeah, I often get, and it sounds bizarre, really, because I mean, some are better than others. I know that, we're not professionals, but we do get people that binge watch it for sure.
Oh yeah,
definitely,
100%. And then the other place you can also, do it to Twitter or Facebook or any of these kind of places. And the way that you do it is you connect your social media to a software. So the software that we use is something called StreamYard. That's StreamYard. Oh, dyslexia.
Let yourself down there a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh god, yeah. So it's called StreamYard. It is incredibly simple to use, and it's the way that we can do things like add banners up or bring up comments, like Gary saying he's going to start to do this. All of this is done with StreamYard, and Pete, by the way, definitely agrees. We all need more Gary in our life.
Not with Gary with his shirt off, which he put recently. Not being funny, Big G, but that's got to stop, right? It was turning me on a bit, right? But just on this, I mean, this isn't an expensive piece of kit, is it?
Not at all. So I think if you pay monthly, it works out at like $30, which is I think like £25. But if you pay annually, I think it gets as cheap as like £15. And there is a free version of StreamYard that you can get and experiment with and things like that if you wanted to see if it worked for you. But StreamYard is definitely the software that we use here, and it's so easy to use.
Oh, we love it. Yeah, we produce all our training videos on it as well.
Just an answer. There you go. So we use StreamYard too. It is very, very helpful, and we can give you a little bit more on that at the end.
Oh my goodness, cool. Yeah, you need to get involved with all the different features of it. We absolutely adore it, really. Okay, now, and also, by the way, when you set up a StreamYard, like we set up an episode to go out, it automatically creates a LinkedIn event ready for you to draw people in. So it's absolutely brilliant. Now,
it will create posts on all your social medias that you post to as well.
Indeed, it does, which is what we love. So now we're not going to talk about the technicalities of setting up a show because that would take ages, but let's go through the process. It's time to set up a show. How does that work then?
So first of all, you need to figure out the topic that you want to talk about, which
we're going to cover off in a minute, aren't we?
One of the most important parts of it. Then you would create it on StreamYard. As Mike said, it creates an event on LinkedIn, and it also sends posts out to your various social medias. And then after that, you just have to, the next bit of kind of research that you need to do is about half an hour before the show starts, where anybody who's been on the LinkedIn live show, there's a couple of people watching that I know have already been on it. We do some sort of prep work where I check out the timings and make sure everything runs smoothly. And then you just sort of have the show and be aware that stuff's going to go wrong and people are going to ask you questions.
I've got to stop you there, Kirsty. I've got to stop you there because there is a little bit more than you do yourself a disservice, really, because yeah, sure, we come up with the idea. I usually write the profile. It doesn't take long, 10, 15 minutes. If I've got a guest coming on, we're going to talk about guests in a second.
Yeah.
If I've got a guest coming on, I'll write it immediately that I booked the guest.
Yes, right? Because you'll have had a conversation with them and it will be in your mind.
We talk about it. I write it and send it to them while it's fresh in their minds to say, well, okay, is this what you want to talk about? Yep, or we change it. So I've got that set and I just record that as a separate entry in the calendar against the one that we're going to actually launch. So it goes in there. It's ready for me to then post. Excuse me. So we do that. Then we got the bit in the middle where we find attendees, which I'm going to talk about in a second.
Yes.
That's like really important. Okay. And then we come to the actual session. Now you're very good at this because, and someone was saying to me earlier, I was doing a podcast for Alan Smith earlier as his guest. And he was saying, is the person that was doing his recording on there said, "Oh, I saw Kirsty. She keeps you all in check, doesn't she?" I said, "Well, yes, she does, because timing is everything." So just to go through, to be clear, we started this at 12 o'clock, didn't we? We checked in.
Yeah.
If you've got any visuals, so we've got a couple of visuals. We've got the show to put up, which we whatever. We've got a couple of more things to put in, so we get that set up and ready. And then you'll go through the questions that you're going to ask me, or in this case, I'm going to ask you, to try and get out the information that we want. And you're very specific on that, aren't you?
Yes. So there's an element of when it's live, you can rehearse a bit too much. You can make it very wooden, and it then also becomes a bit more of a webinar, which is, I think, a bit more professional. But with this, I have general topics and how much time I will allocate to that topic. So, for example, the bit where we talked about setting one up, I'd allocated like 3 minutes. This bit I've allocated like 5 minutes. So you go through and think, I've got half an hour, because we like to finish bang on. Occasionally we overrun like a minute or so, but not really. Because people's meetings, they only get half an hour free, you see. So we are bang on with the timings, and then within that, I allow a certain looseness of how people kind of get that information across. But yes, you sort of block out vague time blocks for the half an hour.
And we put up all the banners. If you just give us a banner,
so
Kirsty.
These sort of banners, we go through, and during that half an hour prep time, we will go through and make sure that we've got them right and that the individual is happy with it, whether it's Mike or a guest. We also make sure, so if we were demonstrating a website or wanted to show something to you, we'd make sure that we have all of those web pages open, so that you don't have to do the old, "Oh, just bear with me," and then you're sort of clicking away down here, which sort of ruins the connection with the audience. You want to be as prepared as possible, so that when this is going, not only does it run smoother, but you also, as a performer, as a host, you feel way more relaxed, because you don't get that pressure. That's what people are afraid of, about stuff going wrong, which does happen. And to be honest with you, it makes it more fun in my experience. But I get that I'm a strange human being with that. But also it's they're worried that they're going to look silly, or that they're not going to look very professional or something like that. And preparation, as we all know, prevents poor performance. So
I think it's poor performance, but we can't can we really? So
no.
but
yes. Yeah. So we do more prep than I think comes across sometimes.
And a number of people have been on the show, particularly people that run their own podcasts, have commented to us on that, in how well organized we are, so that it looks like this. It kind of flows through. We get the key points across. We finish on time. The whole thing is organized. But you can do that. It's not that difficult. There's a set process that you follow, and it comes out. Now, let me talk about topics next. I want to talk about topics and guests, and they're kind of interchangeable. Let's talk about topics next, because we need to find topics that people are going to be interested in, don't we?
We do indeed. So there are a couple of ways. Well, there's lots of ways that you can do this, actually. There's lots and lots, but there's two that you use a lot, Mike, and I know. So the first thing that you use is you use LinkedIn as a community to highlight what our audience is talking about, don't you?
Yeah, we all do it. Go on LinkedIn, we see what people are talking about, and you just get an idea that certain things are more
zeitgeisty.
Yeah, good zeitgeisty, a bit of the moment. And you think, oh yeah, that's interesting. So that gives you we call it a theme. So there's a theme, and then there'll be topics within that theme, usually 2 or 3 topics within the theme that we're going to discuss. So that's the theme. Now, what are the topics? And really that comes from talking to people. Yeah, and again, you can do some research online. You can even Google it to see what's being said out there. But my favorite one is talking to people, and there are a series of questions that you can ask. I'm going to give you the top 3 right now if you want to get content ideas. I'm going to share those with you in a second. But just talking to people, I want to say off the record, but there's no record anyway. It's just, well, okay, we've done the business, a little bit of
have a chat,
or, a little bit of whatever it is. And so get on to this. And so the first question is, what is your community talking about right now? Okay, so, what got zeitgeist in your space? And most communities, most sectors, industries have something that they're talking about. The second thing is, what keeps you awake at night? I get all sorts of interesting answers to that, actually. But what we're looking for is something that they're worried about, or there's something coming up, a change in legislation, or something's happening now, perhaps something's going to happen, but they talk about that. And then the last thing is, and you have to decide which way you ask this question. You can either say, and if you're talking to a one-man band, you say, well, okay, what could make you better? What one thing would you like to improve? A skill or some experience that you would like that would make your life easier? If it's a more senior person, then you direct that question to their team. What one thing do you think could make your team more effective? and then that's giving you subjects. So, and there's plenty of other questions as well, but those are the ones that will elicit a lot of the really good things that you can draw upon.
I think with that as well, when you mention that, is you do have to keep in mind who your target audience is. So, for example, we deal mostly with business owners, so less of the content is about, the specifics of recruitment, because that's not our area. If you're dealing with sort of C-level people, then you want to focus a lot more on sort of leadership skills and strategy and things like that. If you're dealing with lower people who are actually doing the job, then you want to focus a bit more on sort of practical, this is how you improve and stuff like that. So there's a balance to it. So you do need to keep in mind who your audience is. It's essential when you're coming up with your topics.
No, you do that actually, but it's interesting because we look back on some of the shows that we ran, and we can tell by the people that sign up for it, the numbers of people that sign up for it. And typically, you know, whatever registers, I think it's 50 odd people registered for this. So we would expect about 30 viewers somewhere in that neck of the woods live, and then 10 times that many people watch the recording later, usually within the first week.
So that's within the first week, because we don't monitor it after that.
No, we don't monitor after. There's roughly about that, and then added to that, there's the viewers that we get on YouTube and the viewers that we get on Twitter. So it's about that. So you know, when we put stuff out there, we don't really know what's going to happen to it, and then we check the viewing figures and we see the kind of content that does better than others. For us, it tends to be either very practical stuff, or very zeitgeisty stuff, or stuff that relates to the bottom line.
Yeah, they do. The recruiters do like the money, don't they? They do like to know what their bottom line is.
The thing that this has been so popular, it's probably the second or third highest show that we've had in terms of registered viewers, and I think it's because it's got a bit of zeitgeist. You know, people have seen live stream shows come and go, and it's like, yeah, it's a cool thing to do, but clearly it's a bit harder than it looks like. So I've been talking to a few people, my clients, about doing them, and it's like, oh yeah, I'd like to know more about that. So I'm thinking, well, okay, we'll do a show, and here we are. So what I'm saying is, I suppose you can evolve your themes as you get into it. You learn more about your audience and what they like.
Yeah, and I think you have to be prepared to be a bit dynamic with your show. Like, Mike, how many iterations has this show gone through? You know, we've been running since about 2020, so that's 2 years. And how many iterations have we gone through?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, we're not afraid of failure, and you shouldn't be either. You know, you put it out there, and yeah, it's there forever. You can delete it if it's like hideous. Not that it will be, but actually, you can make. I tell you that the thing is you just got to make a start. That's the thing. Is give it a go. It's not like a lot of people think, well, I want to start a blog because I'll write 3 blogs and give up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No. Give it a go. Get 3 subjects that you're going to cover, maybe a couple of guests in there, and just stream and see what happens.
And start monthly. Start monthly. We do it weekly because between Mike and I, we could probably talk for 4 weeks straight and not stop to take a breath. But
How dare you?
I'm definitely your daughter on this. But some people can't. So start monthly. You don't have to do a week. That's only 12 shows for a year. 12 shows.
I could fill that. It's dead easy. Honestly, we've got people booked up now until September and October. It's a doddle, really. And that's guests, not our own stuff. So there's stuff everywhere. If you look, you'll see subjects. So you will. Now, supposing though, Kirsty, and I want to come in a second just to talk about viewers, because it's really important to get viewers to come. And I'm going to cover that up in a minute. But supposing somebody did want to make a start, Kirsty, how would they do? How do you think you could help them with that?
Okay, so as Mike mentioned, we've had a lot of people talking about this lately. So I created a course which literally takes you from having no idea about any of the software or not having your LinkedIn set up to having a fully functional show. One of the people, we've just done a beta of it, and one of the attendees of that beta ran their first one last week, and they got 4 leads from their first show. I'm very proud.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Francis. In fact, thank you very much, Francis. Already seeing success after 1 show. So thank you very much. So in it is designed, we've got a little over 20 videos, which sounds like a lot, but they're all sort of 2 or 3 minute long because we've broken it out so that you can go back and reference them if you need to.
A couple of hours worth of content, isn't it? You told me.
It is, yeah. So it's a couple of hours worth of content. We've filled it full of templates. We've filled it full of notes for checklists, lots of things like that. Now for this test, we are going to be running it in September, and we are going to be doing it a little bit differently. So First of all, because it's sort of the second, we're going to be doing a discount for you all. And you are also going to have live access to me during a webinar where you can ask questions and queries. And if you get
Can
caught
I
up on
just say as
things,
well, that is a genuine discount. So it's not,
yes, it
we
is.
are going to sell it for 297. That's the plan.
So it's just one of those things I just want to make sure it works on a mass. And then also you're going to get unlimited email to me. So if you have questions as we're going through, you can feel free to come and ask me about them. And Mike, we're doing something special for people watching as well.
Here we are. Yeah, we're letting people, everyone that goes on the course goes into a draw, and there won't be tons and tons of them, 10 or 15 tops, I would think, goes into a draw. So very good chance of winning it. You can have Kirsty for the first show, either to do what she's doing for me now, if you want, or alternatively, just to help you go through the process of doing the timings and all the rest
the prep
of it. So
and stuff like that.
It's win-win. Now, this course is only going to be available from 9 o'clock next week to register until 5 o'clock on Friday. 9 o'clock Monday, 5 o'clock Friday. So you can't register for it now. You don't have to do anything. Everyone that's registered for today, that said they're going to come today, Kirsty will send over a link. You can click it or not lick it. Click it or not lick it. Don't lick it. No, that's nasty.
Don't lick it. Don't lick it.
Click it or don't lick it, right? And then we won't hassle you or anything like that. It's there if you want it. And then Friday it closes and that's it then. So we're all done. Whatever we've got, we're going to go with. So you don't need to do anything. If you're watching this on a record, which apparently a lot of people do, we now know, you just have to email Kirsty or connect with her on LinkedIn, kirsty.ames@flare.co.uk. So no big deal there. So all easy peasy, and we'd love you to do the course, and we'd love you to share in the success.
It's a lot about confidence as well. So these kind of things is, you could do them by yourself, but this takes away a lot of the questions, a lot of the worries, a lot of the stumbling blocks that people get caught up in, so stuff like that. But Mike, we have had a couple of questions. Is now a good time, do you think, to do?
Yeah, because I want to talk to putting viewers on, because that's really important. Let's do some questions and then we'll come back to viewers, because you cover viewers in the course, don't you? But I want to answer that question now for people who aren't going to do the course. Yeah, we
do. So Cole's asked a great question, which, if you aren't comfortable going live by yourself, would you recommend doing interviews with others? I 100%. It's my favorite thing is to do this with somebody else. I think we've done them by ourselves before. It's less fun. And I think it's easier to do because you can run everything behind the scenes and have somebody else talking. Would you agree with you on that one, Mike?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you really just, Kirsty and I do it together because it's easy. She's looking at comments and doing the banners, and I'm sort of poncing around doing all this sort of stuff. So 2 people. A third person could come in as a guest, and we really like that because we have a persona. So it's the Kirsty Ames show, really, apparently. So I'm told. I'm like the old git, and then we have the talent on. And then Kirsty asks the question of the talent answers, and I get in the way. And that kind of works, doesn't it, really? If there's the 2 of us, I have to be the old git and the talent, which is a bit of a drag, really, for me at my age. But I do feel having those personas, which you have to develop as part of your show, really works. So long answer, yes. Short answer, yes.
Double whammy there. I like that. Okay. Laura's asked a question. Do you find a difference in engagement on pre-recorded shows?
I don't think they're as good. I mean, we've only done a couple, haven't we? Because of holidays.
We have. So it depends how regularly you're going to be using them. We've used them to experiment with them because we know that people are going to ask about them. They're okay. And particularly if you're doing them in a time where there's or a subject that you think will get less uptake anyway, and you're running them maybe in August where your viewership's going to be lower because a lot of people are off on holiday and things. But I would say 2 ways around it. So first one is here at the Mars show, because there's 3 of us. There's me, Mike, and Pete. We will sometimes swap each other in and out. So if I'm not here, Pete will do it. If Mike's not here, Pete will do it. We basically just swap Pete in, really, which can sometimes be a very good way of doing it if you're running it with somebody else. Alternatively, it's okay to take a break. If you're doing it monthly, you can normally plan that monthly show.
Well, we're taking August off, aren't we?
Yeah. It's not the end of the world. We always take Christmas off. Between Christmas and New Year, we don't do a show then. It's okay to miss the odd 1 or 2. Like I said, I would start monthly, and if you're doing a monthly show, it's much easier to book holidays and stuff around that as well. So there is a difference with it. I think pre-recorded aren't as powerful, but they are an option that we talk about.
Okay, so now we should talk about getting viewers, because it ain't much use. And I think without getting viewers, there's no point at all, is there, really? But so let's just reiterate. The live viewers are one thing, but the recorded viewers are where the big numbers come in, right?
Yeah. So there's two types of viewership. I think a lot of people get really caught up on the live aspect of it, and there is an element of that. But if you've only got 5 people watching your live show, that's okay. If you've got no people watching it, that's okay.
Because it's still there, isn't it?
It's there. It's the content that you get. So please don't get massively caught up on the live aspect of it. So Mike, how should we talk about live viewers first? How do we get people to actually watch this show live?
Well, when you create the StreamYard, then LinkedIn puts out an event, okay, and a post as well, I think, goes out. You need to just change that event slightly, just edit it slightly, just to include a few things on it. But when that's done, then you get an invite box that you can just click on it, and all your contacts come up. You just click in a box, and then you press invite, and LinkedIn invites them all, which is pretty cool. We also, it is pretty cool. We also run an email list for people who've been on the show before. So we email people out. I personally invite people to come to the show.
So do I.
And I'd say that's probably a more reliable way to get people to turn up on the day as well, because you talk to them about it and they understand what's important, and so they come. You can run a WhatsApp list. I know one of our clients has a WhatsApp broadcast only WhatsApp group. And when he puts it out, he just says, well, okay, this is what it is. And people are in there because they want to be. So you can do that. But basically, the message here is that you have to be proactive.
Yes.
You can't just post it out there. And quite often for important ones, I'll put a second post out as well, right? Because the post that you put out from StreamYard that LinkedIn puts around the event never really gets a lot of traction. LinkedIn doesn't boost it.
They don't like it.
So if you want to boost it, you've got to write a second post. And then obviously that will go then. So or you can write it so it'll go. So you have to be proactive. Yes, it's a little bit of time, but we think it takes about an hour to design the show and run it, which we started at 12 o'clock. We'll be finished in 3 minutes time. And then it probably takes me, I would guess, probably to write all the stuff I need to write, another half an hour to 45 minutes top, say half an hour. So do you know what? I'm going to go with 2 hours a week. If you do it weekly, if you do it monthly, it's 2 hours a month. I mean, really, it's not a big deal, really.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is automated. There are products that you can use as well, which can send LinkedIn messages to people. So there's lots of things that you can do, but you build up. We see the same people coming back. We see some people just come once and never come again. I'm guessing it's a shirt that's put them off. I don't know.
Mostly, I imagine, yeah.
And old melty face here. That could have worked.
It's going to happen here eventually.
It is, yeah. But in many cases, we see the same people coming back time and time again. Not every time, but most times. So we're building up a little following of people.
Yeah. So now, Mike, can we talk about how we get people to watch our recorded stuff? Because that also is a big deal.
How we what now?
How we get people to watch our recorded content that ends up on YouTube.
Yeah. Again, we have an email list that we send out a list to say, well, okay, this is the show. And normally we promote next week's show as well. So this was...
That's interesting. We reference them to the YouTube channel, not to the LinkedIn reference, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, because people go there and binge. We know that they go and look at one and think, oh, actually, I'll have a look at this one now.
Maybe subscribe.
Maybe they subscribe, which is groovy. So we want to make sure that people get access to the stuff that they want. But if they don't want it, they don't use it. Now we're going to change that. We're just designing some changes to that, which I think will be coming out in the course. But we're going to start that from September, because we think we can make it work a little better than it does now. But you have to be proactive with it.
Yeah.
And then people will see it and people will interact with it and people will like it and get value from it.
Exactly.
It'll do its job for you.
But I do really want to stress that you do not get caught up on the live numbers. So Gary's asked the question, how do you stop yourself looking at the live viewers? You just sort of do, because you have to understand that they aren't the be all and end all. The sort of main thing that you're getting from this YouTube channel is a library of content that you can use at will.
I've got the YouTube on here because we don't do anything on YouTube. We're not a YouTube channel. We just put our stuff there. And I've got 0 viewers on YouTube. So I just see 0.
Yeah, I have the LinkedIn open here, which is why you sometimes see me looking. But it's mostly, the only reason I have it up there is because sometimes in the past when we first started, LinkedIn were a bit rubbish and they sort of dropped out quite easily. Whereas now it doesn't happen as often. And I just like to check that people are still viewing it. But the live viewers aren't the be all and end all, which is I think why so many people drop after doing LinkedIn lives for a bit. The point is you're adding value to your network in a way that you are creating content for yourself as well. So don't necessarily think of it all about the live numbers. And then Gary's also asked another question, which is about what about advertising on Eventbrite and others. And you can do it, but I would say I don't know about. I know Eventbrite you have to pay for and stuff like this. If you're doing it much more sparsely, like maybe a quarterly
It's
hour-long
not
show,
seriously, it's
but I
not
wouldn't.
necessary. We don't even do that for our webinars. You know, we get you build up a reputation for producing good content and giving unconditionally. Okay, we promoted a course today, but when was the last time we promoted anything on this show? Like, I can't remember, right? So we don't do it very often. We do it because it's relevant to the subject that we're talking about. But I think if you build up a reputation for providing good quality content, people will come and people will come back, and it's done its job. You know, people know the number of people on it. Well, I was telling you that case, wasn't I? Must go then. We must leave because
This happens when you do timings. Look.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I was talking to someone an exchange. I've never met them or spoken to them. It's all online, and he said that he made people his team sit down and watch the Lee D'Souza show on how to reduce blowouts and counter offers. I had no idea. I had no idea that that was happening. So it really is the gift that keeps on giving, and I would urge everybody to give it a go and see what happens. You know, so
100%. Yeah, 100%. Right, guys. So just a quick reminder, if you do want to come on the course, as Francis says, it's definitely worth signing up for, and you will get something from me shortly. Or if not, if you're watching a record, feel free to contact me here. But other than that, Mike, I think we're done for the show.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you very much for being the guest today, Kirsty, and being on the Mike Ames show. At least once it's the Mike Ames show, which is a result. Yes. And we're not here in August, but we'll be back on September the 1st. So we'll see you then.